Well, Fabrizio Romano, after sounding a here we go of Martin Zubimendi to the club of Arsenal, he is obviously on a daily basis trying to really feed us with more details, because he's always asked questions about this guy, Zubimendi, especially his deal to the club of Arsenal. Then Tielemans' season is over, and we are also going to be discussing a little bit of Virgil van Dijk onto Trent, his departure. Remember, Trent was really one of those players that came off the bench, and when he was being brought on, he was being booed by the fans of Liverpool that he betrayed them, and he left on a free to obviously go and play for Real Madrid. So smash the like button, comment and share. If you're totally watching us for the very first time, endeavor to subscribe to this channel so as not to miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. Rokani David is my name, and let's obviously get rolling. And the first story is all about Martin Zubimendi, and it's Fabrizio Romano telling us that Martin Zubimendi wants to give his best Real Sociedad until the end of the season, 100% focused on the team as top professional as always. Arsenal will complete 4 more steps of the deal in the next weeks, as Zubimendi will be the first signing for the 2025-2026 season. Now, Zubimendi is a top professional, and he wants to obviously stay focused at the side of Real Sociedad, and he doesn't want to really leave his boyhood club when the fans are really doing what what the fans of Liverpool did to their legendary, and that he goes by the names of their legendary who goes by the names of Trent Alexander-Arnold, and he's like, in the remaining games, I want to be here and see to it that we really put in the best shift all together. And this guy is really trying to gather all efforts and really give Real Sociedad the best send-off in there. And remember, they are left with 2 games. they're left with 3 games. Hosting Celta Vigo at home, then hosting Girona at home, and they will play their last game against Real Madrid away. So that's what he really wants to do. Those are the 3 games that he wants to obviously play, and then he really leaves. But in the due course of him playing those remaining 2 games, Fabrizio Romano is telling us that 4 more steps are set to follow in the next weeks. Arsenal are really going to trigger the clause of a player called Martin Zubimendi, because it's a 60 million euro release clause, and that's what Arsenal has to do. Because, as I've always explained to you, if a player has a release clause, you don't need permission to talk to him, especially if at all its time or duration of triggering has obviously come to pass. So Arsenal went and he agreed personal terms with Zubimendi, and Martin Zubimendi is out of all this. All what Arsenal has to do is to really agree on the payment terms with Real Sociedad, and those are the 4 more steps that Fabrizio Romano is really talking about. So we are waiting to see how Arsenal really does these 4 more steps with Real Sociedad, and see how they're obviously gonna be winning everything in their favor. But as it stands, it is really one of the moments that are really doing great into the beautiful game of football in here. So as it stands, Martin Zubimendi is an Arsenal player. Count him an Arsenal player, and I think tomorrow I'm obviously going to be coming up with how this guy fits into the team of Arsenal. That is Martin Zubimendi. But what a signing! If you're going to hate to know exactly what this guy is all about, you know, he's like a young, energized Jorginho. If you saw Jorginho at his peak, this is the player really getting in through. Press resistant, good interceptor, he breaks play, and he can play almost in every position of the midfield. That is Martin Zubimendi for you. He has the experience, he's a winner with Spain, and he knows exactly what to do when it comes to dealing with the opponent. You know, he's this kind of player that can really pull out, we call it pull a hat, you know, it's called pull a rabbit from a hat, meaning that he can really do miraculous things, especially in those games when you're playing teams like PSG. In that midfield, he can really get hold onto that ball and invites pressure because he knows he is press resistant, and then he can really create spaces for other players and he can initiate play from the midfield. So he's a good replacement of Jorginho, and we are waiting to see how the midfield three of Arsenal is obviously going to be lining up next season. If you're having Partey, Rice, Odegaard, and Zubimendi, and I know Zubimendi will walk straight into that team. So is he going to be played as an 8 or a 6? Because he can thrive in both positions very well. And he knows Mikel Merino also there. I had even forgotten him. They really played well at the Spanish national team, and they played for very many years together at Real Sociedad. So they know each other. So them knowing each other, what does this really call for? You understand? So we wait and see how things are really going to be panning out in there. So that's what we had for Martin Zubimendi. 4 more steps are set to follow, and Arsenal want to obviously submit or trigger the clause immediately, because if they take long, then very many other teams might obviously pick interest. Even his agent will be like, why don't really try to talk to other people in there? Now, Trent Alexander-Arnold is another one who is leaving Liverpool, and he's leaving on a free. Virgil van Dijk, the captain of Liverpool, who went ahead to lift his second Premier League trophy for Liverpool, came out and said the following on Trent leaving. For me, there is no other place to be at this point. It has to be a big summer, and I trust the club and the people who make the decisions to do the right thing. I feel with additions, we can make that step up. Obviously. And I think this guy leaving is a blessing in disguise. That is it. Trent leaving is a blessing in disguise, because I've always gone ahead to love Trent in the offensive areas of the pitch. But in the defensive areas of the pitch, his game reading, defensive aspects are really very bad. But I think going forward, he's one of the best in the world. But his defensive attributes are really very, 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 very lacking. So, according to me, I think it's a blessing in disguise. I see Bradley, he's very explosive. Defensively, he's really great. But I think Liverpool should obviously bring in another senior right back. And I know they're looking at Frimpong, one of those that is going to hit to make his mark at the side of Bayern Leverkusen. And I know he cannot cross to the side of Real Madrid, because Trent has already gone ahead to cross, because his former manager Xabi Alonso is going to be the manager of Real Madrid, and would have gone ahead to propose for Real Madrid to sign the player. So that's exactly what you're having about him. So for Trent, I think Liverpool have really saved themselves, because if you remember that game of Arsenal yesterday, who was responsible for that offside? It was none other than the guy called Trent Alexander-Arnold, and he played Merino onside, and Merino went ahead to obviously head that ball in the back of the net that ricocheted off the frame of the goal into the vicinity of Mikel Merino, and Merino headed it back home. And you saw who really kept this guy onside. It was Trent Alexander-Arnold. So for Trent, it's okay. And Virgil is like, I trust the board. They're obviously going to be bringing in very many players to see to it that they suit the purpose at the side of Liverpool. And I've told you they're looking at Frimpong, and we'll wait to see who they bring in and who doesn't really make it there. Then Yuri Tielemans, Aston Villa. It's coming in from David Austin. Yuri Tielemans hit for a spell out injured. Fears 28-year-old Belgium international will miss rest of Aston Villa's season with muscle problem. Chance of returning for Man United on the last day, but currently seen as remote. Now, I've seen this guy. He is not an injury-prone player, but he has been really very pivotal into what Aston Villa has achieved this season. And with Aston Villa trying to really fight for the Champions League places, because they're having 63 points with 2 games to go, And if they win their remaining 2 games, they will hit 69 points. And Chelsea is having 63 points. Man City is having 65. You understand? So that means they can really do the needful. And their remaining games, they're supposed to play Tottenham Hotspur and they're supposed to play Man United. So those are the remaining 2 games they're supposed to play. If they win them, they'll put themselves into positions of really playing the Champions League or else playing the UEFA Europa League, and seeing what Europa will have to say on how many teams the Premier League will take to the Champions League, provided the team known as Man United and Spurs are into the final, meaning that it's already confirmed that the UEFA Europa League is going to be going to the team in England, meaning that England has secured 1 Champions League spot already, or another Champions League spot already, and if I know they're taking 5, then we'll wait to see how things will obviously go into their way. So let's wait and see how that pans out, but that's all about Yuri Tielemans injured. But your thoughts on to Zubimendi to Arsenal for more steps happening are welcome in the comment section below, as revealed to us by Fabrizio Romano. What do you make about a player known as Virgil van Dijk trusting the side of Liverpool on really having a very big summer? By the way, very many teams are really going to be having big summers. Madrid will have a big summer. Arsenal will have a big summer. United, Real Madrid will have one. So we are waiting to see which players are obviously going to be brought in here as the big summer really loads, to see how things are really going to be taking us to where they deserve to be. So that's exactly what we are really in here for. So, and what do you make about Yuri Tielemans? Do you think him being out will obviously disorganize the plan of Aston Villa to really qualify for the Champions League? All that and more into the comment section below. Second video of the day. We out. Bye bye.